Hi, this is Joelle, your podcast host. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are recording this podcast on unceded Indigenous lands. Tiohtià:ke, Montreal is recognized as the custodian land of the Kanien'kehá:ka Nation. This serves as a reminder that this history, which is often forgotten or neglected, enabled us to be here. As a white settler, this is especially important for me to recognize the role my ancestors played in colonization. That feminist hopes to create a space for dialogue, exchange, and critical reflection. With that being said, I invite you to think critically about your institutional and personal relation with the land on which you stand.
Look at that feminist. Oh my god, she's so annoying. Yeah, I know, she talks too much.
We can still get lovers if you this one. Keeping the quiet, it's a legend. When you want to when you confident, say hi, just say hi to my independence.
Hey guys! We're joined with Ronan and Nadia today for another episode. Hope everyone's doing well. It's sunny outside, spring is coming.
I hope.
Yeah, that definitely helps with the mood.
Right?
I hate to say it and be like every other person, but it's true.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it really helps. And I'm excited, especially with everything going on, right? Like,
Yeah,
we
just
need
nice.
it.
It's just nice to have a change because the days can often blend into one another and your sense of time can be kind of messed up. So it's really nice.
Yeah. So today we're talking about gender roles, sexuality, and the LGBTQ community. And Nadia.
I'm so excited.
I know. This was the episode that I was the most excited about, I have to admit. Basically, I'm bi. And
Just letting you know.
FYI.
I mean, yeah, just so you guys know why I'm here, especially because people often assume that I'm straight. And so that's kind of the reason why it was only last month that I quote unquote came out to my parents, which I hate that term and I hate closeted. It's so cringy to me, and that's definitely a privilege, but it just never came up with my parents. Honestly, my parents are very progressive. They always made it clear to me that they didn't care what my sexuality was. So, and they never asked. And I didn't want to do like a serious, like sit down, like mom, dad, and bye. Cause like, it's not a big deal. I knew they wouldn't care. So that's why it only came up in a conversation. I'm not going to go into what the whole conversation was, but like, that's how they found out.
That's crazy. But it's good that they were supportive. Like,
yeah, it's definitely a privilege for me to say that like, those terms are cringy to me and I didn't want to, and that's the reason I only came out like a month ago. But I've never been closeted, I don't think. If people asked me, then I would be honest with them about my sexuality, but most of the time people didn't ask. They just assumed I was straight. So that's the only reason it was that long with my parents. I don't have any like specific memories of like, first being attracted to a girl or first questioning my sexuality or anything like that. I think it was like since my preteens, I guess, I sort of questioned it. And it's never been something like advertised, like I said, but if people asked, I would tell them. So yeah, I've never been closeted. And what else can I say? I think I also hesitated to like really say for sure 100% that I'm bi, because there is that stereotype that like bi people, it's like a phase, you're confused. And I didn't want to like say that I was bi, and then when I was older I actually was like, oh sorry, I was wrong.
okay.
So I didn't want to be that. So
Were you like afraid that you were wrong and like?
I mean, a little bit.
Okay.
Sexuality is like confusing,
and
it's
it
not
takes time to
easy.
discover, of course.
Yeah.
And even now, it's like, I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It is weird, yeah.
And it takes a lot of time, and you have to go through the motions. There's also maybe the worry of the trope of you kind of, when I was in school, in like secondary school, a lot of people were saying that they were bi, but it people were like accusing them of it being fake. Do you know what I mean? Or them pretending.
Yeah.
So there's also that I think.
Yeah,
is
it was
something
just
on the
like
back of the
my
mind,
friends that knew because it only came up around them.
Right.
But I'm sure that if it was like a really known thing, then there would have been those types of comments. But yeah, it was just mostly in my head. I didn't want to be like perpetuate those stereotypes in case I was wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is sad. Like, it shouldn't be like, oh, like you're just going through something. Like, sit down and think about it. Like,
Yeah.
It comes from so much, like from the past, like people thinking that this is wrong and thinking that it's not true, or thinking that it's a betrayal to the family.
And our world is very binary. And
exactly.
so a lot of people prefer either just you're gay or you're straight. And bisexuality is not that. Oh, there was another thing I wanted to talk about. I forgot to write it down, but pansexuality, that was
Yes.
another thing. Can I just say, I've never understood pansexuality. And if you identify as pansexual, this is not me coming for you. This is just, I genuinely don't understand. And whenever I would ask people, okay, like, what's the difference between pansexuality and bisexuality? I would get like, oh, you're attracted to the person for like who they are, not the gender. And I was like, that feels like bisexuality to me.
Yeah.
Because you like both. Or they would say it includes non-binary people and trans people. I was like, I feel like bisexuality includes that too. That feels like a little transphobic to me. I don't know.
I think to answer your question, because that's what I was going to say, like, the way I see it at least is like pansexuality includes non-binary and like queer people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you said, if you identify as bi and you would be like, yeah, like I would date like a trans person, a queer person, non-binary person. At the end of the day, I think it just comes down to label. And it's like, it's a lot of labels. And I think sometimes
that's not
it's confusing.
me trying to say that it's not valid or it doesn't exist. It's just,
No.
For me, everything I've heard about pansexuality is bisexuality, but I mean, whatever you want.
It's very much the same. I personally think that it's good that it exists, though, because there are a lot of bisexual people who say that they wouldn't date trans people because there are some bisexual people who have those mentalities that trans people aren't their real presenting gender, you know? And so I think that for that reason, maybe that's why it exists. But I also agree. Like when I say I'm bi or I'm pan, it's always including trans people.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, that's what bisexuality is for me. And I feel like today this podcast is going to be like the biggest platform, I guess, for me advertising my sexuality. And it's a lot. I think a few people are going to find out about it, which I don't care. But I think some people also found out a few. Again, time is not real, but recently I posted something on Instagram, and in the caption, as a joke, I put that I was accepting boyfriend, girlfriend, partner applications.
I saw this post.
Also, it was a joke. I don't know if people got that, because it turns out when you say that, people hit you up.
Your DMs are blowing up.
Okay, so you got applications.
No,
resume.
not
Good
really.
job.
Not really. But so I think that was like news for some people that follow me there that I'm not like close to. And then this. So that's cool.
And Ronan, what about you? Like, what's your story?
Girl, well, what do you like? I am really lucky. I said this in the medicine episode as well. Like, I'm very, very lucky, and I've had a really good upbringing. It was tougher with my dad, you know, and it still is sometimes. We don't talk a lot. He lives on the other side of the planet, but he's still I've seen the work that he's put in to get to where he is now. And he supports me now, which is good. So I'm very privileged and lucky to have two wonderful supporting parents as well. Yes. And yeah, it's I've had a really good upbringing. I've had lots of support the whole time. I have a very, very lucky experience compared to a lot of other trans people.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know what else? In terms of that's my story on my transness, but in terms of my sexuality, I'm still kind of going through the motions because the trans thing is there, and because I definitely knew when in high school that I was into girls because I had a really, 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 really huge crush on my best friend for like 3 years.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I had to like watch her like fantasize about straight men and date straight men. And I just sat there like, one day. But anyways, and that on top of the men that I did see fetishizing me or hiding me, or
that's another thing we have to talk about.
Because and it, you know what, it stifled a lot of my sexuality. There are other trans women who are open about their sexuality, and lots of trans women are like, I don't want to say call girls, but you know what I mean? Like a lot of them have to take that as an occupation because they weren't accepted in their families, whatever.
Yeah, because homelessness is a big problem.
A huge problem in the
young
trans
kids
community.
get kicked out. And just if you can't get hired because you're visibly trans, that puts people in some really hard situations.
Yeah, exactly. But because I luckily didn't have to go through any of this, and because I had a huge group of girlfriends my whole time, I was more focused on friendships. And still to this day, I've never had a real...
Me too.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God, I have not ever been in a relationship.
If anyone wants to be my first boyfriend, girlfriend, partner...
Yes, I'm here.
Wait. Do you mean this as a joke, or...
I don't.
I don't know. Because now people are going to send in their applications, okay?
Honestly, I've never really wanted to be in a relationship. I never saw myself in a relationship. And then last year, during quarantine, of all times, I was like, you know what? That actually might be fun. Because I'm a dumbass.
In your house as well. Like, of course. No, I feel the same. And like, you know, it's fun to get your rocks off by yourself. But
I think that when you're in quarantine, you're really within your thoughts and within your feelings. And you only have that. Like, you're not really interacting with other people. At least like for me, I really isolated myself. And I think that like one thing that really struck me was I started thinking about this when I was like in college, but I started, you know, like thinking about my sexuality and what I identified as, and it was always sort of a big question. And I think it's for everyone like that. But at one point, I really thought I was asexual, actually.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I have these thoughts too.
Okay. And I had the asexual thought because I was like, I don't think penises are very nice.
No.
I mean, let's be real. Sex is dirty. Like, it's not, like, it's...
Some of the things.
Yeah. But I thought I was asexual because I wasn't looking for a relationship, and I also wasn't seeking sex. I was just not doing anything, and I was just focusing on myself, which at the end of the day, like, now thinking back on it, I don't identify as asexual right now, but I definitely, like, thought I was because of that. But I think there's a difference between like really being asexual, like not wanting that, and just not pursuing it currently, which I think what I was doing.
Yeah, that was never a focus for me like it was for other people. So that's also kind of made me wonder at some point. I was like, am I kind of on the spectrum for that? Because I mean, I'm not an expert, but from what I've understood, there is sort of a spectrum for asexual, aromantic people.
There is, there's demisexual is another term.
Okay. I really need to learn more.
Yeah, there's demisexual, which is like, I definitely need to, I know the title, but I stop there. But there is a spectrum, and I think that for me right now, like I don't know. I could be like, I think we could be any of these things. Especially like, and I don't have, sometimes I have the desire for a relationship and then it goes away. Sometimes I'll have the desire for a sexual partner and then it goes away or whatever. Like, there's definitely a huge spectrum surrounding
especially
asexuality.
In the pandemic. I feel like I really go through phases.
Oh yeah.
And I go back on dating apps, and then it's usually for like a day or two, and then I get bored again, and I'm like, oh yeah, these people are and I leave again. I ghost. If I've ghosted you, we were talking, I'm sorry. It's not your fault unless it is.
What do you guys think about like labels just in general? Like, do you guys think it's important? Do you guys think we're putting too much labels on everything right now? Like,
for me, it's really a personal choice. I like using the label bi. It's nice. If you don't like using a label, I totally understand that. That's super valid. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I mean, I think that I don't have any real, like, I'm not for them, I'm not against them. If you like to use them and if they're important to you, then definitely use them. I think that I don't know what my label, I don't know precisely like what that label would be or what I'm most comfortable with. But once I do, I think I'll use it. Am I going to go around with a megaphone promoting my label? Maybe not.
That was me. And that's still kind of me.
And that's totally fine. But what I mean is like, I don't know, like it's not, it really depends on the person. And the level of
it can be
importance in the life.
restrictive.
Yes.
And it is like sort of a traditional binary. We like to label things. I see that. But also there's some power in that. And you can find community in that way when you do use labels.
As well.
Yeah.
And look at how far, like, of course, like, progress has been made over the last, like, 40, 50 years, and there's still so much more to go. But, you can be proud of where we are now. So that is definitely another good reason to use labels to show your pride.
Yeah, and I think one thing, too, that's you just mentioned, but it's, like you said, finding a community of people that have gone through the same things that you've gone through. I think it's really nice to be able to speak to those people and to be able to have that sense of community that like you're not alone. Because I feel like sometimes when you think about your sexuality or your gender identity, I feel like it can be so confusing. And you're thinking like, why am I like having these thoughts right now? You think you're the only one because you see everyone has like their labels and they don't openly discuss about that. They don't openly like discuss about, hey, I've actually questioned my gender identity or I've questioned my sexuality. People they're going to come out and present themselves to the world, especially on social media, as, already having found their labels. So I think that the whole process of finding, who you are is really like not so much talked about.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
And what did you guys think also? I wanted to bring that today because recently on my story, I shared a post about this TikTok user who created his own sexuality, which was super straight.
Oh my God.
And so his reasoning behind that was that he got a lot of heat apparently for saying that he's not dating trans women and people were calling him transphobic. So in order for people not to call him transphobic, he said, well, now, this is my sexuality. So you can't give me shit for my sexuality.
Straight people want to be oppressed so bad. Dude. White straight people want to be oppressed so bad. It's so funny.
I'm not going to name the person, but it was a white male.
It.
So
Oh man. Yeah,
he wanted to be oppressed. That's literally what he wanted to be. He wanted to be oppressed.
Honestly, one thing I will say is I love the memes retaliating against him. They're so good. And the TikToks, they're so good. Yeah. But disgusting. Ew.
I think also recently I believe it was Azalea Banks. She's a female singer.
Yeah.
And she wants to do a straight pride movement. Because I think that's what it was. But it was basically she was complaining that straight people were being bullied by the LGBTQ community.
Oh my God.
Azalea has said a lot of really interesting things.
Yeah. and then people were like, okay, but who's going to stream lip gloss now, queen? Like...
Right. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. The things that...
there have been attempts to do a straight pride.
I think sometimes it's
straight
just
pride already exists.
Transphobia, like, or homophobia, like, disguised as oppression. Like, they're trying to make it as, like, oh, I'm oppressed because I have these
white
thoughts.
people have tried to do that, too, with POC now.
Yeah,
yeah
100%.
Like, you guys get affirmative action. I'm like, queen, I don't think you understand how that works.
Yeah, no, but anyway, I posted on my story about this, like, about this new, like, sexuality, apparently, and I posted a bunch of pictures from, like, a different outlet saying, like, hey, here's why this is wrong, and here's why this is actually not a sexuality, it's just transphobia. Yeah. And someone messaged me, and that person told me, like, hey, like, I didn't realize this, but, like, if I don't want to date a trans person, man or woman, does that make me, like, transphobic? And I thought that was so interesting because first, it was like one of the few times that like my stories and activism actually reached someone and someone questioned themselves. And I was like, yes, I'm doing the right thing. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. And at the end of the day, like I couldn't give him an answer because I was like, look, I'm promoting this because I think this is what I believe, but I'm not part of the community. So I think you should do your own education and your own research. But what I left him, what I left him with was like, just think about these questions. One, why is it that you don't want to date a trans woman or a trans man? Left them with that question. And two, if your answer is because, that person is not a real woman or a real man, then that's technically transphobic.
It
so
is,
I'll leave
yeah.
you with those thoughts. Think about it. Let that sink in, and then come back to me and tell me if you're transphobic or not.
Yeah, you kill him, girl.
But I thought it was interesting because I was like, maybe people don't realize that.
Because people see bigotry in very extreme senses. They see racism as just, saying the N-word and black people being shot by the police. And yes, that is racism, but it's also, microaggressions, and it's more nuanced and like deeply rooted. And it's the same thing with transphobia. Just because you don't go around to protests about trans people and you don't use trans slurs and you don't say I hate trans people, you can still be a little bit transphobic. And that is a manifestation of the more subtle subconscious transphobia that's deeply rooted in society.
That's right. There's all kinds of little details that you can focus on, and there's one thing to like have preference about genitalia, let's say, but then there's another thing to have like, I don't know, to discriminate against, to assume that somebody is not real or somebody is not conforming to what you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think it takes a lot of guts to be able to say like, hey, I can tell you that like you're not who you identify as. I think that's like, okay.
Guts
like,
is maybe not the
down.
word. Maybe moxie, gall, gumption.
The gall, the gumption.
Yeah. You definitely need to have a lot of an idiotic yet big set of balls to ask those questions.
And then on the other side of that spectrum is the fetishization of trans women. And there's also the fetishization of bisexual women, lesbians.
Yeah. I've like guys, I mean, like I said, I don't have a big experience sexually, but when I have like seen people or dated people or whatever, I'll get like all of kinds of like excuses as to why, like, or when I come out and when I tell somebody, listen, just before any of this continues further, I'm trans. Oh, so you're a man? Yeah. Like it's like a lot of really ignorant questioning, and a lot of like, I remember there was a guy, I only met him online, and he was just like, so the way that he would speak to me like was just so terrible. And then when like he would act like, I was young, I was in high school wanting to like, be like my straight girlfriends. And so I was talking to him and the whole trans thing comes out, and he's nice, he's asking questions and stuff. And I don't mind questions. Just think before you speak. Yeah,
please.
And then like, I don't know, like we did whatever he wanted from me, and then he left. Like, it's just like, and he doesn't, there's no, he just doesn't, trans women are often kicked to the curb or forgotten about or fetish and like used for some kind of weird sexual desire. I have a friend who described these types of men as like straight guys who like women with dicks.
Yeah, well, we have a fantasy. Do you think he used you for a fantasy?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Yes, he really like, and that's happened to me so many times. Yeah. Like trans women are just used for fantasies and then topped to the curb.
Trans women are very often seen as just sexual objects, which is
not the
part
case.
of the reason that there are so many trans women that get murdered, and it often is during sexual encounters. And it's really sad.
Yeah. And if there's the whole topic about disclosing.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, because on dating apps, some people put it in their profile picture, so right off the top. Some people like to wait a little bit while you're talking, or before anything physical happens. So yeah, and as like, especially if you're like, the more passing you are, the more careful you have to be, right? Because I've heard horrible stories of people I heard a story about this one trans woman who was with a man for, I think, something like 5-10 years. And then when he found out, he like murdered her and chopped up her body
and like did all kinds of messed up shit, people will go crazy when they find out.
10 years?
Yeah, 10 years.
Damn.
So I think it's really important. I mean, for me anyways, I always, like, it's in my bio. It's in my bio on Tinder if ever I decide to open that place up again. And like, I try to let people know it helps, in my opinion, it helps weed out the ignorant losers.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to maybe educate respectful men who are open to, like, they don't know a lot about trans people. They want to know they're not like discriminatory or asking me ignorant, dumb questions, you know.
Yeah, because I think a lot of the time it's not that they're necessarily, like you said, disrespectful and that they're not open to. I think it's sometimes they're not
ignorant.
educated. Yeah,
Exactly.
they're ignorant. They wouldn't be like closed off to the idea, but they don't know a lot know that. And I think it's important to like educate people on that.
Yeah, I think it's important
but
too.
it also shouldn't be her burden to educate people.
That's right.
And that just goes
right.
goes in a lot of different cases. It's not your Black friend's responsibility to educate you on anti-racism.
There's Google.
You can ask them questions and have conversations if they are willing to do that with you, but do
that's
your
why
own
I'm
research.
That's why I'm so
Don't be lazy.
hesitant to date, you know?
Yeah, I feel you.
Because like,
Do you feel like a lot of the conversations you're gonna have is just gonna be you educating people, basically?
that's a lot of what it is.
Yeah.
That's a lot of what it is. It's hard to find somebody who will just kind of like, oh, you're trans. Okay, cool. I haven't found that yet.
And then like
still
just
looking
ask
for
you like regular questions on a date instead of just having the whole date being focused on you.
Yeah. That hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Hello, 514.
No. Online dating is weird. I mean, I've never really done it seriously. I've only ever met one person from a dating app in person, and it was fine. But especially with men, most of the time when I'm like swiping through, I just put women just because it's less scary. I'll be honest. That's also part of it, honestly, is being a little afraid of men, especially people you meet online.
Yeah.
That's still a fear of mine.
Do you feel like it's different when you're like swiping and you're swiping through like men and women?
Yeah, I mean, the men are less attractive most of the time. That's also part of it.
Yeah, I meant more as in like when you're dating a man versus when you're dating a woman. Like when you're dating a woman, like obviously you're dating her, so you like she's gonna know like you're attracted to women. But when you're dating a man, do you feel like you would have to like disclose, like we talked about, that you're bisexual?
Well, to me, it's so not a big deal, and I'm also like very privileged, very much in a liberal, progressive bubble, and like I've never been called a slur about my sexual orientation. No one ever like questioned me in high school, like nothing like that. I'm very straight passing, which is a privilege, I guess. I'm probably not going to get hate crimed, but it still kind of sucks a little bit. So I feel like if I go out into the world, like gay girls are less likely to approach me, maybe.
Okay.
Or try to hit on me, I kind of feel.
Do you think you'd be romanticized though?
That's the thing, because I haven't been in a relationship. It's hard for me to really say, but I mean, on dating apps, there are a lot of couples, straight couples, looking for girls to have threesomes with, which is fine. I'm not going to judge, but that is fetishization, because it's a girl, because the guy doesn't feel threatened by another girl. He doesn't feel like another girl's gonna steal her away.
Yeah.
He still feels like only like girls like need penis. And so like and there's so much lesbian porn that's consumed, and it's like geared towards straight men. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely a reality. It's just not something I've had to deal with yet because I haven't done enough dating.
Yeah, me neither.
The way that the narrative about threesomes being like two women and a man versus like two men and a woman is so toxic.
It is.
Like,
Yeah.
It really is. Like, what the hell?
like I don't know.
Do what you want to do, but like I'm not trying to be anyone's experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
So like and sometimes on girls' dating profiles, they'll say like looking to experiment or something like along those lines, and I don't really swipe right on those people. I'm not down. I'm not trying to help you figure out your sexuality. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's kind of to the point of like it's not your responsibility to like
I don't want to
educate
be your
those people.
token like one time I kissed a girl like
yeah 100%.
I feel like when like a guy would be like, oh yeah, that's so hot, like let's have a threesome, it's like in his head he's immediately thinking about another woman.
He's thinking about porn, which is not.
But then, but then if you
the
even like bring the idea of like, why don't we have a threesome with another guy? Oh, that's gay.
I know.
And then it's like,
I'm like, bitch.
okay, so you expect me to have a threesome with like a woman and not tell you like, that's gay. Like, what the fuck?
Right. It's ridiculous.
When it comes to polyamory, some couples, when they do consensual non-monogamy, some men in those straight relationships have a rule that the girl can only date women. And again, that's because they don't see it as real.
Yes.
They don't see it as the same. They don't feel threatened.
Yes.
So yeah, even when they think they're like being cool and progressive, it's not.
Nope.
That's so weird. Yeah, I didn't think about that. How like he would say like, oh, it's okay like if you kiss a girl because it doesn't count. Or like if you kiss a girl on the mouth, like oh, like he doesn't see it as cheating.
Yeah.
Which I think is so wrong.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it devalues like your sexuality.
Yeah. It just I don't know what else to add. Yeah,
especially because it's so true. Actually, I didn't even think about that before.
And it is for the male gaze for him to think it's hot for his girlfriend to kiss another girl.
Yeah, that's right. But I don't. I have just as much experience as you, babe. Like I have not. But
I think, guys, here's what we're gonna do. After this episode, I'm obviously gonna get a bunch of applications.
Yes.
So I'll start dating some people, and then we'll come back and I'll tell you about all the men who were terrible and fetishized me.
We're gonna have fun this summer, and then next season we're gonna come back and talk about.
But straight girls are complicit in that as well.
Yes. That is
they
100%
also see
true.
it as not real. It's like, oh, like if I'm drunk, like I might kiss a girl. Like, that's fine. Do you, girl? But like, maybe don't make it seem like you need to be messed up for that to be appealing to you. That's
right.
little.
It's just like hiding something. I mean, sexuality is such a big thing. Like, I don't think anybody is really super straight, dear.
I do see it as a spectrum, and I don't think anyone is 100% straight or 100% gay.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm not saying that's right, but that's just kind of how I see it.
I 100% agree. Like,
just like gender exists on a spectrum, sexuality exists on a spectrum.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And I think a lot of these things that we're talking about was perpetuated by porn. Because you know,
the idea of that.
Porn will like romanticize like two girls being together as just hot and like not really a relationship, but more so just like sexual intercourse. And I think a lot of, like you said, straight girls are gonna like do this to like please their boyfriends or please like a guy they're really like saying like, oh, that's hot, and then they're gonna like kiss a girl or like they're gonna make out with a girl, or they're if they, like you said, they have like this one token experience
goes back
with
we
a
just
lesbian.
start playing Katy Perry's I Kissed a Girl, which is like the anthem for that. But why is it such a good song? That's the thing.
It's the beat.
Yes.
But yeah, they're gonna use that like one experience that they've had with a girl
as like a fun story for parties in the future to make themselves feel like they're interesting and like exotic, and
as like a show off and like, oh, like I did this.
No, sexuality is confusing. Experiment, do whatever you want. I'm not telling you, okay, you need to know 100%. You can't mess around. That's not true. But like, I don't know, be respectful.
Yeah.
Be aware that it, like, some people, that's the actual sexual orientation, and it counts.
Yeah,
that's right. It's important to be aware of yourself and how you're being, and then aware of the other person's situation.
Yeah. And not just flauntly just using people for your own like gain, really.
I mean, that's the thing with those couples on dating apps that are looking for someone to have a threesome with. At least they're being like, you know exactly what it is. You're not being fooled into thinking like, oh, they're looking for like a third for their couple. We're gonna be a throuple, and like they're so open. Like, you know what it is. You know it's down.
Yes.
Honesty is the key.
That's right.
Or honesty is the best policy.
Honesty
Whatever.
is the best policy.
Oh, that's another weird thing with them, though, is that a lot of times it's just pictures of the girl. That's because the man is still very attractive,
100%. 100%. Or either that or because the man is like trying to maybe getting off of controlling the situation and probably would want to like instruct the two girls what to do and like it'd be a whole thing. Or maybe he's like instructing his girlfriend to talk to the other person. I don't know. It's important. And this goes back to like why we were talking about, this could be a reason as to why maybe disclosing labels could be important as well, because like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I just lost my train of thought all of a sudden.
Disclosing labels.
Disclosing labels.
I don't know. To me, it's not important. I don't think it's not like in my online dating bios.
Yes.
But I guess it would be clear if you were another girl and you saw me on an app.
But
like,
when I say disclosing labels, also I think maybe just to keep yourself safe is what I was going to say.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, that hasn't been important, but for a trans girl, absolutely, I totally understand that.
Yeah. Also important to note, because a lot of people actually tend to get this confused sometimes. Transgendered and being gay or bi is not the same.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that trans...
of course.
You'd be surprised.
What?
A lot of people think that being trans is a sexual preference. Or like a lot of people think that you transition just to like appease the male because you're gay or something. Like,
Oh my God.
yeah, no, people really mix the two up.
Well, some people, that is sort of their journey, is they first identify as gay and then they realize that it's actually something different. I think of like I think of like Gigi Gorgeous's journey.
I love her.
I think originally she identified as a gay man, and then she transitioned, and she was still dating men, and now she's married to her wife. But I feel like her wife recently
Transitioned.
Yeah.
Yep, they did.
So, you know,
That's amazing.
Non-binary.
The journey is
heathen.
complicated.
The journey is so complicated, and I think that maybe is why people who mix the two, like, they get confused.
Yeah.
Of course, because the journey is complicated, and that happened to me too. I had a crush on a boy, but I was a boy, and then I was a boy who was wearing heels, and then I was a girl, and now I'm into girls
that.
and boys, and who knows what will happen in the future. But yeah, definitely the journey starts there and then ends somewhere else, but that could be confusing for some people. So just want to make sure everybody knows that.
yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, what's important is that at the end of your journey, you're just happy. And I think a lot of people tend to forget that because they're like, oh, like, this person just wants attention. You know, that's one thing that's
this
big
person
too.
mutilated
Where's
their
my
body.
attention? I saw a TikTok about that. The person was like, "Oh, people say being gay for attention. Where's my attention?" That's me.
Dun, 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 dun,
Like, still waiting for it.
Give it to me.
Right.
Another thing I wanted to talk about is, I don't know if this is going to be relatable for anyone else, but for me, this is something I still struggle with, is basically not feeling queer enough. And that's basically because I'm like only bi, which I know intellectually that, you know, bisexuals are part of the LGBTQ community. But I guess because, you know, I've never been called a slur. Everyone assumes I'm straight. I haven't really dated too much. I haven't really been oppressed for my sexuality. So that's why I sometimes don't feel queer enough, which kind of sucks.
Do you feel like you're not part of the community?
I guess. Maybe it's also because I have too many straight friends.
That's another, like, yeah. And when we were talking about finding communities, I really resonated because I honestly, like, I have wonderful, now at age 23, I have a wonderful gay community around me. But in high school, I didn't. And today, I like, when I say a wonderful gay community, I'm talking about maybe like 3 people. Like, I need to definitely, like, I've been supported by straight people all of my life. So it's hard. And I understand what you're saying as well. Like, being so passing, like, it's a weird feeling to struggle with.
And being surrounded with people that are like straight and that are not part of the community, I feel like is different than...
It takes you away from the community a lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like,
And also, I guess that's internalized homophobia to be like, oh, I'm just bi, so I'm not gay enough.
No.
I guess that's what that is.
No.
I don't know. But yeah. I mean, I just turned 20, so I still, a lot of the people in my friend group are my friends from high school, and they're straight. I love them. But I mean, now I'm in my first year of university, so I'm meeting a lot of new people.
Yes,
and
I gotta go back to school.
That's been really nice. And also, you know, when we get vaccinated and things open up again, it's going to be really nice to go out.
Find me at
meet
Unity,
people,
honey.
Especially because I really like more gay clubs,
Yeah.
or I love going to drag shows.
Yes.
So,
Okay. So it's us.
Ronan and I are
we're
gonna be
going to
going out.
Cabaret. And we're going to Unity and Sky.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Can I just say that's
the
one-
music is better, I think. Can I just say?
Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to do for us, but I don't know if we're gonna be like able because COVID.
Oh, but give it a-
for like
when things open.
our like closing of the season of the podcast like party. I wanted all of us to go to like the drag club Shimado. Because I was like, this would be perfect for us. We're gonna have so much fun. But now I'm
it
like,
is so
I don't think
fun.
it's gonna be possible.
I don't think so. Not in the near future.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh
Yeah,
my
I
gosh.
didn't get to go out that much before the world shut down because when it shut down, it was like my 19th birthday. It was like at the same
So you
time.
just had
so I
one
just
year.
had a year,
Yeah.
and I was too busy with school, and I kept like putting out. Now I'd learned, so I'm not going to be waiting for my friends to agree to go with me or for my exams to be over.
Yes.
Like I remember in 2020 early, I was like waiting for the summer.
Me too. No, me too. I regret that decision so hard.
I know. But I hate going out in the winter. It's such
Me too. That's what I was
Yeah.
saying.
That
Yes.
was also part
No,
of it,
okay.
probably.
I miss going out, but not that much. I would
But-
still just go out in the summer. I can't go out in the
But
winter.
I guess I learned like not to wait around and like put myself out there more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So,
one thing I did.
that's
Was
been one of
always
my
like
good
I didn't
lessons
want to
from
go by
COVID.
myself, so I was always texting
Yeah.
people like, "Do you want to go with me?"
Yeah, I remember one time I wanted to go to Mado to see they were doing a Pussycat Dolls show. I really
Amazing.
wanted to go.
Amazing.
I couldn't find anyone to go with me, and I was so sad. I was like, I'm not
If
gonna be able to
only
go.
you knew me back then.
I did end up finding a coworker who went with me,
Okay.
and it was really fun.
Yay.
But like,
I would have said yes, like
Oh my
1000%.
God. Same. Yes.
the Pussycat Dolls, they were just making their comeback, and then COVID.
And then
So sad.
COVID. This is terrible.
so sad, right?
But yes, definitely. I'm excited. And I hopefully when those places back open and we can go, maybe we'll meet some more gays. Hello, gays.
Find you a little community.
Hello, gays. Hello, men. Applications are being accepted.
What if I'm that person on the dating apps? I'm like, I'm just looking for friends.
Yeah.
Any men, women, gays, friends, sexual partners, relationships. Somebody want to watch Netflix with me.
Oh my god, but you can go on Bumble BFF.
Oh my God.
I'm probably just gonna get bored and ghost people though. I'm terrible.
Same. I'm not there yet.
I get so bored so easily, and because it doesn't feel like real to me, kind of.
Yeah.
So I feel like I can just ghost people. I don't do that normally with other people, but I do that on dating apps. I think the longest conversations I've ever had was when someone was like, we had a similar interest. I was like, oh my God, you watch Drag Race? What do you think of the new season? Blah, blah, blah. Or I find out that they also like BTS. I'm like, oh my God, who's your bias? Blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. And so that was fun, but
Yeah, same. I recently find someone-
not great for dating.
I recently found someone on Bumble who we were talking for like 2 days, okay? And only after 2 days we found out that we both like F1. And you guys know how
my
I'm
God.
like I'm the only one in the fucking city that likes F1 because apparently nobody knows about it. So when I found that out, I hooked onto him and I was like, okay, I need to keep you close.
Yes.
No, I know.
And it was like a
Definitely.
revelation, like, oh my God, you have the same interest as me.
Joelle, I cannot believe that we are talking about LGBTQ issues in feminism
you
right
managed
now.
to bring up
and
F1.
F1 has just come up in the conversation.
Of all the sports, F1 doesn't strike me as, it strikes me as one of the more heterosexual sports. I don't know much
Yes.
about it, but
So this is gonna be very like you're gonna roll your eyes, but I just
I can't
I
believe
wanna say- I
F1
wanna
keeps
say it
coming up
because
on a
it's funny.
Don't
podcast
get me
about
wrong, I
feminism
accept
and
your-
social issues.
I accept
We
your
accept you.
expression.
We
Yes.
love you, Joelle.
No, but I was just gonna
This is
say
a safe
yes.
space.
It's very heteronormative, like F1, but it's very funny because their new slogan is like we race as one and like equality, whatever. And I just wanted to say that because they put rainbows on everything.
Oh no.
Speaking of rainbows,
And
I
I
did put
don't
on
know
rainbow
why.
socks today.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
see them.
Oh my God, so
Yay.
good. I love this whole look. Like,
Yeah, you're
Thank
so
you.
cute.
you're so cute.
I
love
did
the
get a little bit
pigtails.
sweaty because I was doing TikTok dances while waiting, but we're just gonna ignore that.
We want to see those, by the way.
Yes.
Maybe you can teach us later.
Yes.
But yeah, no, they have a rainbow that they use sometimes to, like, when they put their slogan, like, we race as one, they have this little rainbow also that they put next to it. And I'm just really confused as to, like, why.
That's like Victoria's Secret slapping a rainbow on their underwear in June.
Oh
You know
my
what I
God,
mean?
yes.
Sorry to say.
Yeah.
That's just me making an example. Everybody
yeah.
does that in June.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
There was
basically the
there was
same.
this one store that I was walking on St. Catherine, and they had a little booth outside their store, and they had like rainbow macaroons, and I was like,
Yeah, it kind of feels like the rainbow has been co-opted by like corporations and straight people a little bit.
Yes, although now it's being used for ça va bien aller.
yeah,
Oh yeah, that too. I remember seeing jokes about that when that first came around. It's like, okay.
I was like, huh?
yeah, like why the rainbow?
Right. I guess there's like a pot of gold on the other side. I don't know. But
Yeah. Did you have any questions about like in terms of the place of LGBTQ in feminism?
Yeah, I think it was mostly for like TERFs. If you don't know what a TERF is, I have the definition right here.
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, or that.
I read a whole article about J.K. Rowling's transphobia, and I went into the whole history of trans representation in media and sort of explained where she kind of got these ideas where she doesn't think she's transphobic, but she is.
she is.
So
Where can we
go
find
check
that article?
out. On the Concordian.
Okay.
At the resources in the description down below.
yeah.
Because
Link
Nadia
in
will
bio.
send her the link. Yes.
Yes, I will link it. I promise.
Okay, but what does TERF stand for?
TERF stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminist.
That's right.
So obviously, like with that title, if you still don't know what it means, I have the definition. So it's used to describe feminists who hold ideas that other feminists consider transphobic. So for example, the belief that like a trans woman is not a real woman, therefore like it's not
They're not
worth
included
their
in-
time to like fight for their rights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So a lot of TERFs, including J.K. Rowling, feel like cisgender women are being threatened, which is incredibly transphobic, especially when it comes to the whole bathroom issue.
Yeah. Did you hear about
As they're
the
like,
book?
our safe spaces are being... I was like, girl, there's nothing stopping anyone from walking into our bathrooms at any point in time. You really should read that article if you're interested. But yeah, it still basically has the view that a trans woman is a man in a dress and that they're
It's
like
like
trying to get
cross-dressing.
something out of you, like
Yeah.
cross-dressing, like Mrs. Doubtfire, or there's lots of other examples in cinema where a man is just dressing as a woman to get something.
Yeah.
Terrible.
But yeah, I think you were going to talk about the book.
You heard about the book?
J.K. Rowling's book?
Oh,
yeah.
I heard about the book.
You heard about the book?
Yeah, I mentioned it a little bit in the article.
Basically, what you just said is what the
It's the
book is
plot of
about.
the story,
it's
right?
literally
Yeah,
the
the
plot.
villain in her story and the way she describes this character is just really gross.
Yeah, it's really
And I saw an
disgusting.
interview, which I will link also if
And
you
I
want to
read her
watch
full
it, but-
essay on this for that article.
Yeah?
Don't read it; it's garbage.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah,
Good to know.
it was like a 3,000 word essay.
Yikes.
I was also so surprised that she like kept going with it. Like normally, if you get called out like that, like even if you still believe that, you'll have the smarts to like shut up. Yeah. But no, she kept going. She wrote a
Yeah.
3,000 word essay.
I think that's just her like not wanting to not approve,
No,
but like she
it's really
doesn't want
important
to-
for her to have like a philanthropic, good image, I think, and she did for a really long time. She was a role model.
Yeah, but I think
for
it's
me.
her trying to
Me too.
like fight her like her stance and really trying to convince people that like
Yeah.
no like I'm actually right, and her not wanting to own up to like her actually not knowing about this issue and really just fucking up.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
wasn't saying trans women aren't women. She even was saying like, yeah, we need to support trans women. We need to protect them. They're really vulnerable to domestic violence. She did say things like that, but at the same time, she was still defending
She said awful
cis
things.
women.
She even came out with a merch line, and the images were
saw
disgusting.
What?
A merch line of like shirts and pins and bags that say slanderous things about. I can't
don't know
remember exactly.
if it was her merch or it was like some merch other that she was like liking or retweeting or something like that.
You're right. That's exactly right. I'm sorry. So it was a she like shared or like retweeted. Go check out these people's merch. Go look at these people's page.
Mm-hmm.
It was like anti-trans merch?
Yeah, and she was like promote. It was not a like get rid of this page. It was a go look at this page. Go buy the things.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like,
and then here's the thing: some people are defending her and her book because I watched an interview which Piers
Old
Morgan,
white British people.
Piers Morgan. So like, if you guys know Piers Morgan?
Oh yeah.
Okay, he's an ass basically, but
Okay.
he's on a like morning TV show in
Which he recently quit because
Yeah,
He's been
of
in the
Meghan
news so
Markle.
much. Yeah, exactly. That's why I know him because he's been in the news so much recently.
But can I just say it was about time because when this whole fiasco about her book came out, he was really strong about defending it. And one time on that morning show, they invited, someone from the LGBTQ community explaining why, it's wrong what she did and why like people are angry basically. And the thing that really frustrated me is that Piers Morgan was always interrupting him and he wouldn't let him speak,
right?
And he was very much on the defensive. Like you could sense
Like you didn't write the book, Piers. What's your
Yeah, but you could feel the white man feeling attacked because he's not oppressed
because he
by
holds
anything.
those beliefs.
Yeah, he probably holds those beliefs, but also I feel like he's not oppressed by anything. So he really just almost like white fragility, but reversed, like for
like these snowflakes,
straight people,
these liberal snowflakes.
Yeah,
he
felt like he had to like fight for her and be there for like, oh, like don't attack her, blah, blah. You could really sense that he was on the defensive. And I hated that interview because it's like, if you're gonna have someone come in because you think you have to show all the points of views, let the person speak.
Right.
Like that was
Ronan,
irritating.
were you like a Harry Potter fan?
So it's so funny. My mom read me the books when I was a kid, and then I think like through high school and like the last like couple years, I was like, I don't want to watch Avengers. I don't want to watch Harry Potter. It's too boyish. It's too boyish. I'm a woman. But I rewatched them March of last year, and yes, I am heavily invested and obsessed with Harry Potter now. So. Yes,
love that.
Which is so terrible and
I
horrible.
really felt bad for the trans
Yeah.
community. I mean, that specific moment with her essay, that wasn't totally out of the blue. There had kind of been before that. She was defending this woman who was fired from her job basically for making transphobic comments. She was sort of defending that woman. So that was kind of a precursor, and I'd kind of heard of that a little bit before it was like the full-on,
Yeah.
really explicit transphobia.
Didn't she
that came
also
around.
try to like deny like allegations of her characters being part of the gay community or part of?
No, she did
made
queer baiting.
Yeah, she made Dumbledore gay.
20 years later, she was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, Dumbledore's gay."
But didn't
It's like,
she
cool,
didn't
sick.
she didn't retract that or like?
No, it wasn't
Okay.
in the books or in the movies at all. So it was just her trying to seem in retrospect like
Yeah.
progressive and cool without actually doing anything.
Yeah.
And also now we're becoming more aware in retrospect of the racism in her books.
Yes.
Having
Yes.
a whole last character named Cho Chang. I
Yes.
always loved Cho Chang in the books. I thought that was such a cool name as a child. And also the goblins are anti-Semitic.
No,
Pretty
of course.
explicitly anti-Semitic.
It's a really, really, really touch like the story
Yeah.
touched so many
So
people
anyways,
from the community, right?
And I think her story without it, I don't think if she intended on doing this, but it touches a lot of social issues and a lot of political and religious issues even.
She's a really good example of
without-
the subconscious the subconscious bigotry basically that's more subtle but it's very nefarious.
Well, I think
she doesn't think she's racist. She doesn't think she's transphobic.
No, but
and she
she-
doesn't say like, I hate trans people, I hate Asians, but there's still like those little...
No, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how like she's really just, she addresses a lot of issues, but it's not, you don't see Harry Potter as a political series. Why? Because it's hiding behind this wall of like, it's a fantasy world.
Right.
So it's like, but she I mean, she talks about slavery. She talks about
there was someone who's slavery in Harry Potter also.
But she also talks about class issues. She talks about Voldemort, like he's like a supremacist. He wants to rule, and he has an idea and an agenda that like pure-blooded people are better than like Muggles and Muggleborns. So that's like that's stuff we have in our real society.
Yeah. So
that
there
we
was
can
all
compare
this
to.
like political progressive stuff in the books, and then. As kids, most of us weren't really aware of the other stuff there. That was not.
I wrote a whole essay in college, and I compared Voldemort and his ruling and his supremacy to Hitler. And it's crazy how the comparison is like, there's so many symbols between the two. Like Hitler had, for his symbol, he had the how is it called? The cross, like
the
no, I know what you're
Yeah.
talking. Yeah, swastika.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I said, he had that to kind of represent the movement, whereas Voldemort had the death mark on like people's arms. Like this is just subtle stuff, but if you go deeper into the story,
it's very explicit,
you see
and she was
that.
very aware of what that meant.
But it's for kids. So she doesn't.
You can't turn around and say it's not political at all.
No, but she does a good job as hiding it behind like this fantasy world where you see that it's actually just like it's a very like lighthearted story, but it's really packed actually with very important and heavy issues. Yeah. And I think it's funny that you brought this up because I think it's like you can cancel. At least for me, like you can cancel J.K. Rowling and still like Harry Potter.
That's what I was. Yeah. Like it's
that's the whole debate in the past few years has been: can you separate the art from the artist? And that's a really personal decision.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like recently, like I don't feel like trying to reread Harry Potter, rewatch the movies right now. I mean, it's also kind of I just naturally grew out of it, and that kind of just. I just still have a sour taste in my mouth. Yeah. I'm still going to keep my Harry Potter books if I ever have kids. I don't know when I ever have kids. I'll read those books to my kids probably and, still educate them on certain aspects of the book that I don't agree with. Yeah, it's really a personal decision. It's not easy.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I think for me, it's like I've already bought all the merch.
Okay.
I've already done the damages. I've already given a certain amount of my money to her. Right now, am I going to go out and support her, whatever she's doing or whatever projects she's doing? Or am I going to buy Harry Potter branded merch? No, never. I'm going to go on Etsy. Because Etsy has way better
Etsy does
fan-made merch that is actually one, it's a lot better, and two, like I know that my money's going to someone that really needs it and not J.K. Rowling. So yeah, like if I already own the books, I already own the movies. I don't think that me like watching a Harry Potter movie in my living room will profit J.K. Rowling and whatever agenda she's trying to push.
Right.
But
if you buy her new book, that's different.
That's different. Yeah, of course.
But am I going to go and flaunt it everywhere like, hey, Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter? No, because I don't support her views. But I don't think that me watching it in my private setting is necessarily like bad.
Yeah, I mean, I rewatched them because my mom really wanted me to, and I love her and do everything she asked me. So I rewatched them with her and rediscovered that I like those kinds of fantasy stories, which I think was good. And it was after like when J.K. Rowling was putting out this horrible book. So I made sure that we had those conversations on the couch every time about how horrible she's being. Will I watch the Harry Potter movies again? Who knows, but probably not. I don't have any desire to.
Yeah.
It was just interesting to rediscover that. And we're like, now that that's over and J.K. Rowling has come out as more disgusting. It's a little. It's very personal.
There's lots of other people. There's like comedians that I like where. Sexual misconduct allegations came out. And so I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to rewatch their stand-up anymore.
See that?
So I'm still kind of struggling with that. Like, I mean, does me watching your Netflix stand-up special help you at this point? I don't
Right.
I don't know.
I don't know if I can.
And stand-up is also like a really personal thing, and same with music. Feels a little bit different. I don't know.
I think
so.
it all
I'm
plays
still like
into
making
cancel
those
culture.
decisions every time. I don't like the label cancel culture. I feel like just older people or more conservative people use that just to complain, but like.
I mean, I don't like agree with cancel culture or not, but I just use that term because that's the only term I know on how like to refer to that. But I think it's that in the end. It's
I've
whether
never seen anyone that I feel like was unfairly canceled.
No, but what I mean by
haven't
cancel
seen
culture
that.
is
Doesn't mean
like
it's not true,
whether
but-
you stop supporting someone or not. That's the word I use because that's like the term I know. It's probably not the right term, but
it's the modern one, I guess.
Yeah. And I think it's funny that we talk about J.K. Rowling because, you know, she's cisgendered and she has all these views about the trans community that she needs to
She was
express.
also in her essay, she was like, guys, I have trans friends. I'm not transphobic.
Yeah. But and then, like, you have someone like Blair White on YouTube who is a trans woman and who has, like, very, like,
She's
controversial views.
She's openly conservative.
She openly supports Trump as well. Just disgusting.
I mean, it's a privilege thing. She's also a white woman, so it's a little bit different. I would assume she's straight. I don't know.
She is. Well, I mean, from what I see on her YouTube videos, yes, she is. And she is really, really a disgusting person.
And also, I don't know if part of it is persona, because being a Trump-supporting trans woman is going to get you views.
Of course.
It's going to be able to make your career. So I don't know if she's kind of exaggerating, if it's a little bit of a persona, but...
I implore you to go look her up just to see, just to kind of like know.
I watched a few. I remember I watched one video that kind of explained why she is the way she is, why she's like conservative. I want to find it.
Was it
really
her explaining it or from someone else? Okay.
Someone else.
It was like,
one of those
commentary
analysis things.
I like those.
Yeah, me too.
You know, but she's done a lot of problematic stuff, right?
Yeah, and like, I mean, the thing that irked my soul the most, and the thing that made me say, like, enough, her and someone else named Eden. I don't know Eden's last name or like what they go, because it's Eden, some kind of like stage name at the end, but I can't. But anyways,
it'll be linked down below.
Yeah, exactly. Another trans woman who is friends with Blair. Both of them like made, and Blair has made multiple YouTube videos like this, but the one that I saw, they were together, basically talking about another trans activist. I looked it up right before, but I can't remember his last name, or their last name, excuse me, Alec.
Okay.
Alec was kind of going through the motions of, am I trans, am I non-binary, whatever, talking about dating, and Blair and the other person basically said, oh, well, if you don't look exactly like a straight woman, you can't get
That's part of it also, is the fact that she's very passing. She's very feminine looking.
She's
and
very
so
passing.
she seems to be very critical of trans people who
aren't passing. She says
like
trans
super
people who
feminine
aren't
or
passing
masculine or
aren't
very
trans
passing.
people.
Yeah.
Which is
so
just not true.
I don't know if that's some like internalized transphobia there. I don't know this person, so I shouldn't say that. But
so basically, you know, she reinforces the binary because she's kind of like, if you're gonna transition, you need to like
transition,
be like feminine,
and a lot of
like,
people feel like that as well. They think a trans woman should look a certain way, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, it's just not true.
Yeah,
it's up to the person. Like yes, I wanted to fully transition, but I know many trans women who did not, don't have whatever, you know. It's definitely preference, and it's not a binary thing at all.
Yeah.
It's a spectrum. So when Blair says crap like that, I just want to throw her in the garbage.
Yes. I think we can all agree that we all want to fight Blair White. I think
Blair White, meet me in the parking lot.
I think we can all agree that gender and gender identity, gender representation, however you want to call it, and however you feel inside or however you want to represent, shouldn't be a topic of discussion of like other people. And I also think we can all agree that it exists on a spectrum, and that you shouldn't have to feel like you have to fit into this box.
That's
and
right.
that you have to like,
just because I feel like that doesn't mean that you do.
Yeah.
Well, that was a great conversation, girls.
Yes.
Yeah. Just to close out, I guess I would say do your research. I mean, I still am not perfect.
Yeah,
I still have
neither.
more research to
Me too.
do. Do your research, question yourself and your beliefs and your preferences, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way that you can be a better ally if you're not trans or if you're not gay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that just applies to like all different things, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I 100% agree. Be respectful.
Yeah.
Understand what you're saying.
Even if you don't understand, that's fine, but you don't need to like be hateful.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't rely on your friends who are part of the community to educate you.
Go to Google, honey.
Yeah, Google exists. It's a wonderful thing, and use it.
Yes.
And also use all the resources I will link in the description below. I will also link, if you want to help, I will link petitions and fundraisers in the description that help any like person in the community and that are very like
vulnerable,
good to or that are really good to help right now. And so do your part and educate yourself and question yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks, girls, for joining us. And if you're listening and watching, we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.